Good evening. Welcome to the City Council Workshop Meeting of March 5th, 2024. The time now is 7:42. Will everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the city clerk please read the Open Public Meetings Act?
This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. Notice of this meeting was included in a notice sent to the Record and the Star Ledger and advertised in said newspapers on January 17th, 2024, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and has remained continuously posted as the required notices under the statute. A copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Proper notice having been given, the municipal clerk is directed to include the statement in the minutes of this meeting.
Will the city clerk please do the roll call?
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Here.
Councilwoman Wasotsky?
Here.
Councilwoman David?
Present.
Councilman Wilson?
Present.
Council President Cobb?
Here.
Also present is Mayor Michael Wiles, City Manager Robert S. Hoffman, Deputy City Manager John Berkner, City Attorney Bill Bailey, CFO Michael Kaufman, and City Engineer Franz Volsi.
First on the agenda, bills and claims, Resolution 106-03-05-24, approval of payments of bills and claims in the amount of $2,213,616.55. I need a motion and a second.
I make a motion.
I'll second it. Any questions? Councilman?
Thank you, Council President. If we're looking at page number 1, if we go down halfway to 00262, Business Systems Unlimited Board of Adjustment Meetings. What is that, Michael? The $4,750.
It was for the whole year of 2023.
And I understand that, but I'm trying to gather what the amount is for. Is that for a lawyer? Is that for a Zoom? Is that
IT.
Okay. All right. So the rest of those are for IT as well, I would imagine.
Yes.
Okay. You just helped me out a little bit if that was labeled. Thank you. We have something on page 2. The police department, I think it's the 6th one down, 7th one down, 24-00465. Carfax interface for $1,800. What is that?
That's the Enforces, that's the in-car computer systems.
Carfax?
Well, it's Enforces is the system. And I'm not sure why they call it the Carfax interface, but it's the,
Yeah, the 2 threw me off because Carfax is like, you know, when you're buying something.
yep.
Okay. And if we go down, stay with the police department, 00509.
Yeah, that's for community engagement training. There's a seminar for that.
Is that a couple of days?
Yes, it is.
And the one under, we pay for the first 5 uniforms?
Those are the uniforms for our new officers, yes.
Is that shoes, badges, shirts, hats? That's everything?
Except for the badges, I
Yeah.
believe it's. Everything except for the badges.
The badges are ours. Are the badges the city? Is that why we don't pay for the badges?
No, I think they come out of a different account. We'll just double, do you have access to the backup information on that, Michael? If not, we'll just double check and get back to the governing body with that.
And if we go down to page 3, Public Works Department, 2400346, landscaping services, railroad and tracks, $4,600. Is that when we cleaned out the culvert?
Do you have that back up there?
Yes, sir, I'm looking at the Vinden.
Page number 3 under Public Works Department. Parks
Can I answer your other
maintenance.
question first?
Oh, I'm
'Cause
sorry.
I was looking at that.
All right, let
Sorry.
me take my time. Go ahead. Forgive me.
No, forgive me. It was, looks like caps, the trousers, the blouse, the shoes, a liner, an embroidered name, collars, well, it's part of the nylon keepers, duty belt, raincoat, baseball cap, embroidered logo,
The whole uniforms.
So the only time that
handcuffs.
I'll see this is when we have new employees because they get a uniform allowance. Is that correct?
They get a uniform allowance, yes.
So I'll only see this for new employees.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now I could do the, what was the other PO?
Public Works
Yeah.
Department, 24-00346. Rosario Landscaping and Construction Service and Railroad and Tracks, at railroad tracks, $4,600.
Yeah, I think that was when we were cleaning out the culvert.
It's Forest Avenue, ain't it?
What's that?
At
Yeah,
Forest Avenue?
yeah, at Forest Avenue, north of Forest Avenue, we needed to, I think that was on the east side of the railroad tracks when we were cleaning out the culvert.
Forest Avenue, yeah.
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 And that helped the flow of the water tremendously for those residents and those business owners on Forest Avenue. Part of my question, part 2 of that is, are we scheduling something on a continuous basis so we make sure that those residents and those business owners are relieved from flooding?
The answer is no. We had a limited window because the CSX was redoing that railroad crossing.
I remember.
So we went in and we cleaned it out even though CSX didn't want us to do that. So our next goal is to make sure that CSX brings in their special equipment so that they can clean the swale on both sides of the track, but we are not actively scheduling any work on the CSX railroad tracks right now.
Okay, do we have a time limit for CSX? I know it's complicated and somewhat problematic to get CSX to come to our small beloved town. They think they're above us, and that's why we don't get the immediate service. Do we have some type of timeline that I can tell my constituents that we're following through with the flood resistance by the railroad tracks?
The answer is no. We're working with Congressman Gottheimer's office to try and get them to come down. They do have specialty equipment that's up near Poughkeepsie that would come down and be able to clean out both sides of the swale. We want them to do it here. We want them to do it in Leonia and Teaneck. We want them to do it where they have an active rail line, and we want them to go up north towards the hospital so that they can clean that whole swale area. But we don't have a timeline that you can tell when it's going to be done.
Okay, and if we back up a little bit to Under Public Works, I believe it's the third one down, 03754, the sewer truck repair. We are up and running with that, is that correct? Now that it's repaired?
Go ahead.
It's just truck, is the truck back? Is that what you're asking?
Is the truck
Sir?
back? Yeah, the truck is back in operation, yes.
Okay, so our residents don't have to worry about any delays. That's good. If we stay under the same title of DPW and we go to page 4, it's about 12 down, 24-00455 Barrel Paramus. $13,715.
Yeah, that was for our Peterbilt truck. It needed significant repairs, and it was done, and it's back in operation, so.
This might date me a little bit, but I remember when we had qualified mechanics, and at some point we enlisted the Paramus Repair Shop. Is all of our equipment going now to Paramus?
No, not all of it, but there are significant pieces of equipment that are going there because we, either we don't have the tools or the lifts, but the truck, the recycling truck, it was number 20. It, basically they were able to do the repairs and get it back to us so that it could get back in operation. They did it in a fairly quick manner.
Did I hear you say we no longer have a lift?
No, we don't. We have lifts, but we don't always have lifts that can hold all of our equipment. This was a heavier piece of equipment.
Okay, some of this stuff we'll talk offline, but if we go to the Recreation Department, on page number 5, the first one, 23-02063. Dear Data, $7,690. I know at one point we had a problem with the drone. Is this associated with the drone for the deer population?
Yes, it is. This was the deer study that was done, and the governing body received a copy of the report.
Okay. Do we have more deer than we should be expecting?
Depends on your point of view.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions on the bills and claims? I have, on page 4, we have 4 items for Atlantic Towing, and we're buying tires from them, Mr. Kaufman?
Yeah, yes.
We can't buy tires from a wholesale, which would be probably cheaper for us? I think I asked this question before. Is there a reason why we're buying that from a tow truck company?
When we had checked with Director Jenkins, it was the tires and it was the installation of the tires. They were able to be put on the trucks quicker than if we bought them from another establishment. As he had explained, they were the trucks were back in operation within a few hours as opposed to being offline for up to 48 hours.
And Mr. Kaufman, on page 6, we got 5, the last number is 02337. $120,943. And this is 5, I guess, lease Dodge Durangos, all-wheel drive?
Where's that?
So on page 6, the last item.
Yeah,
last item.
120,943.
Yeah, where are these vehicles at? I see Explorers, I see these little Escapes and all that, but I don't, where's these Durangos at?
Let me see the date on the invoice.
While we're doing that, Mr. Volsi, under the capital, the first 3 items on page 6, one for $16,715, one for $23,855, and the other one for $10,740. What type of remediation were we doing at 18 Armory Street?
Oh, some of these are dated. Some of these go back, but the remediation is ongoing. We have point wells in a lot of the sites, and they get monitored over years. So this doesn't happen right away. They have to monitor if the contamination in the soil is going down, going up, whatever the case may be, and that happens through a number of years. But these, I believe, these were back invoices that needed to get paid.
Oh, okay, because I mean, it would be interesting to know what type of contamination we had. The 18 Armories is a residence, right?
Yes.
And then we have this, the police department. What kind of contamination was that, or remediation?
At one point, we had an underground tank at the police department, and that was removed. And as part of that, they put some underground wells just to make sure. And the tank, from what I believe, was ruptured at the time it was removed. So they have to, by law, put wells in to monitor whether or not the contamination is still present, it's going down, et cetera. And if it is going up and if it's urgent, they will notify the city. But the fact that we haven't gotten any crazy notifications means that the levels are probably...
How long does this monitoring take place?
It depends. We still have monitoring well at Depot Park from where the bank used to be a gas station, yes. So it depends on the establishment. It depends on what it was used for.
Okay.
It goes on for years.
So that means we got a well over there where the fire department is at.
We have a well
Because
where
that was a gas station
yes, we
150
do.
years ago.
Yes, we
So-
do.
so-
And Armory Street, we have wells there. And the fact that they're residential, it makes it more crucial to keep those wells there.
Okay. And when we look at these remediation fees, are the residents paying those fees, or how's this being paid? Assurance? How does that work?
That I'm not sure. They're billed to the city, but I'm not sure how it gets paid through the city. If it's through taxes, that's something that hopefully Michael can help with.
Michael, how's that, Mr. Kaufman?
I'm sorry?
The monitoring wells,
the wells-
there's an ordinance there, but
Who pays for that? Is that a residence? Is that fee passed on to the residents, or the city is taking that expense?
The wells?
yeah, there's ordinance 1703. It's on page 6 in the Capitol. So usually, these are wells that have to be monitored for a minimum of 10 years. But it looks like the city, since the city paid an ordinance, it looks like this is a city expense. We don't subrogate it out to the former owner. So do you know if that's accurate, what I just said, my
Yeah.
statement? So it's a city expense. It's
So
not
it's a
somebody
city
else.
expense?
Yeah.
That we take care, okay.
You don't, should I tell you about the vehicles?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so it was, there was a resolution done in August of 23. So we authorized the purchase of the 3 Dodge Durangos.
Says
for-
5.
It shows 3, so I think that was just a typo.
Did we take delivery on them yet?
I'm pretty sure we did, but I'll find out and get back to you.
Only reason why I'm saying I haven't seen them, and, they look a little different than everything else we have here. So, Just want to make sure that we got what we say we were going to get.
Council President?
And you're saying it should be 3 instead of 5?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yes,
If I
Councilman
can
Wilson.
just interject something with Mr. Volsi, and then again back to the cars. I'm sorry, excuse me. If we go into capital improvements, 2302880, DNL paving construction, 2023 curb and sidewalk program for 215,116. Is that ADA? Is that where we're making all our curbs ADA
Oh, no, this
accessible?
was part of our curb and sidewalk project. I don't know if you remember, but we put some new sidewalks along Huguenot, we put some new sidewalk along Woodland. So there's a couple different areas throughout the town that needed new sidewalk to be installed. And as part of the sidewalk repair, we do have ADA compliant ramps
Yeah,
that are
I'm
installed.
aware because we paid a healthy amount for the design of the ramp. So I just wanted to make sure that was included in this.
No,
And-
this is a separate project. The ADA ramp project is something that's different than this.
So we're doing curbs and sidewalks and we're not ADA compliant?
Those curbs and sidewalks are ADA compliant.
Okay.
But we have additional projects that require the designs, et cetera. And that's where the Boswell design comes into.
All right, thank you, Boswell. I'll remember that. And thank you, sir. And I just wanted to add on to the not 5, but 3 police cars. Are they coming already lettered? Is that in this price? Because I know we received cars, the police and fire before, and they don't come lettered. They don't have the signature of Englewood Police or Fire.
Correct.
And for that price, I would surely like to see them lettered as well.
Yeah, I don't think they come lettered, and then once they arrive, they have their fit out with the other equipment, but,
Yeah, and the cars have arrived. They have arrived, they're waiting for it to be fit for equipment, so,
Oh, so we have them, but we don't have
Yes.
them, they're not on the road.
exactly.
And we lease all our cars, right?
These we bought.
We bought.
Yeah.
So why do we lease some, buy others?
Usually when we lease, it's lease to buy, so it's really, we're buying them over a few years, we're paying. So sometimes we get a good deal, we buy it, sometimes we lease it, depending, if we take it out of operating capital, it all depends.
If you could update this to 3 instead of 5, because we'll be looking for 2 cars, I would appreciate that. You know, we don't want to do that. Okay. I think that's it for me. Yes, Councilman. Yep.
Hi, Mr. Kaufman. So, start from the top. So 24,
Page 1?
yeah. 24-00316. So that's Staples office supplies. 24-00410, Staples, medium, I guess, binder clips. 24, so this one has the same number, 24-00410. So why would that have the same number as the one above?
Because it's charged to different accounts?
Is the PO number the account number? or-
No. If you look to the left where it says city clerk, let's say
Oh, so one's,
city manager office equipment, that's the line that it's charged to.
oh, so the same PO number might be used multiple times?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So they all start at 24-000,
Yes.
wait, 24-00001, and so, okay. Then we have a little bit down, 24-00259, Business Systems Unlimited, 24-00261, Business Systems Unlimited, 24-00263, Business Systems Unlimited, all of them saying office equipment. So why would office equipment be different than office supplies?
well, one of them, the office, The office equipment here is computers
Computers.
and software and related peripherals
Okay.
or software licenses.
Yes.
Okay, going back down, so then, towards the bottom of page 1, 2400410 again, Staples, office supplies. 2400501, Staples, office supplies. That's $131.06. There's a method to my madness, don't worry. Don't worry. Page 2, 2400591, Staples, office supplies, $43.49. Going on to page 3, middle of the page, 2400412, Staples, office supplies, $185.99. Going on to page page 6, we have Office Concepts Group, office paper. So why does the municipal court use different supplier for office paper?
The paper that the court uses is not the regular paper that.
Okay.
It's special paper that they use.
Okay, so we had like about 10 charges for office supplies, all from Staples. Now here, so why did one specify what the office supplies were and the other one was kind of general? Like the one that had the binder clips.
Depending usually who enters the purchase order. Sometimes my department enters it in.
Okay,
Payroll, the purchasing agent, sometimes the departments enter it in. So depending, people enter it in differently.
so here's the big question.
And sometimes it's like a lot of things. If it's like 13 things, they just say generalize. If it's
Okay.
like 2 things, they'll specify.
So here's the big question. Yeah, when I go into the Staples catalog, they have pens, paper, pads, binder clips, all the good stuff. They also have kind of, I think they call it break room category, which it like has M&Ms, Oreos, Coke, Diet Coke, beanbag chairs. So how do we know, so if people are putting it in as general office supplies, where's the checks and balances to make sure that people aren't buying beanbag chairs for the office or, a couple of cases of Diet Coke?
Good question. I review every purchase from these vendors.
Okay,
I get an email and then I have to approve it myself after they submit it.
okay, so if you saw a beanbag chair, you'd
Yes.
say,
Exactly.
what's up with that?
Yes.
Okay. So who bought your bean? No, I'm kidding. Okay. So, all right, so you're the gatekeeper for that?
Yes.
Okay. And I apologize because I asked this 2 weeks ago, and I should probably watch the video again. But can you explain the lien redemption again to me? And maybe, Bill, you helped me out with this last time. Like, why is this a positive for us?
Because it's if someone, a property owner was delinquent on their.
Want to use the mic? Yeah.
If a property owner was delinquent on their property taxes, per state law, tax liens are issued, which means someone can come in and buy the lien. When they buy the lien, they're actually paying the city the outstanding
Okay.
taxes due. So when the property owner redeems the lien, the money.
Okay, so they go to Corporation, so Corporation X has a business where they look for tax liens, purchase them,
Correct.
We have the tax sale in
and
December.
but they buy it for like 50 cents on the dollar or something like
No,
that?
typically what they do is, just because the math is easy, say there's $10,000 outstanding in property taxes, it goes to an auction. And what they actually bid on is what the interest rate they'll get when it gets redeemed.
Okay,
Some are as high as 18%, but then they bid against each other, and then maybe they end up, well, I'll pay this lien off if I get 5% interest when it's redeemed.
okay. Now, and I know you're not in that business, but do they look at where the property is? Do some cities do better than others? How do they? Do they see if the owner died, and that's why no one's paid the?
Yeah, I think all of the above. Years ago, I did some of this stuff. I'm talking 20 years ago.
Why am I not shocked to hear
And
that?
I represented a company that wasn't from New Jersey.
Okay,
And across the board would buy like every tax lien.
okay,
And it was a big mistake
all right,
because they were getting properties that no one was going to redeem the lien. People
Okay.
just walked away from. And
okay, so they
I
got hurt
think
by
for the
that.
most part, they do their due diligence.
Okay, so then Corporation X now owns this lien. The homeowner who,
Or commercial property owner
yeah,
can
says,
be.
okay, we have better cash flow now. They redeem the lien from Corporation X, and then the city refunds some of that money back to the
All of it.
property owner?
No, the city gets the money and
And
then
gives
gives
it back
it
to
to
the
the
lien.
lien holder.
Oh, okay.
And that discharges the lien.
Okay, so these
are
are,
We're kind of like the bank.
These are the companies that buy it.
yeah, so CNE1 is the company that buys it, okay. And then the final question, just looking at the escrow refunds, I see the same names multiple times, so why would, and some residents who I recognize the names in my ward and other wards, why would the same person have multiple escrow funds with different numbers?
He wants to answer that.
Many a time when we have individual properties do a new house, let's say, there's multiple permits that come out of that property, whether it be a tree permit, a soil permit, a right-of-way permit, building permit. So when they get a certificate of occupancy and those permits get closed, the refunds are all individualized. So they could be for different permits that they're getting the refund, even though it's the same property owner.
Okay,
Every permit gets its own refund amount. So that's why you're seeing multiple refunds under the same name.
and do they get interest on that money?
It's not out of my ballpark. Speak to Michael about that.
Is that, I don't know, I'm not being provocative, is that the state law or not?
If it's over a certain amount,
Okay, all right.
usually the balances are too small.
And what's the usual timeline from getting the permit to the escrow being refunded?
It depends. That is something that we're working on, trying to expedite that process from when someone gets a certificate of occupancy to getting, the release of their funds. Usually it's done quarterly, so it depends where you fall in that, but that's the timeline that we usually keep.
And those escrow funds are used to pay the
Engineering
inspectors
fees,
directly?
yes, that's correct.
And if it goes to the planning board, that pays the planning board experts as well?
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not just us taking the money, there's a direct dollar for dollar?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Okay, they're buying our services with that?
Yes.
Okay. If they run out of money in the escrow account, everything stops?
Everything stops. We write them a letter saying that their account's overdrawn, and we wait for them to replenish the account.
And they have a very strong incentive to keep that positive, right?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Okay. All right, thank you very much.
No problem.
Hi, just in terms of the escrow accounts, and I'm glad that you brought it up, Councilman Rosenzweig. I've been talking to Mr. Hoffman about it because I have been getting complaints from residents that it's taking way too long to get back that money. And we were talking, right, Mr. Hoffman, about the need to make it a smoother and a quicker process.
Correct.
Yes, you ready? Roll call.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Councilwoman David?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Council President Cobb?
Yes. Next, we'll have public comment on agenda items 069, 079, 081, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, and 114. Comments will only be on these items on the consent agenda. As you come to the mic, give us your name and your address, and we have 3 minutes.
There are extra agendas in the front if anyone doesn't have one.
Good evening, Raymond Diaz, 408 Shannon Court. Can you hear me? I'm fine.
Go ahead,
Okay.
okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's 109030524, resolution authorizing emergency temporary appropriations. It is on the, okay. It's here. It says $22,722,303. Is that typical that we, in our budget, that we have a specific budget at the beginning of the year? And how often do we have an emergency budget during the year? Is this one time only, or
I can
how many times
answer.
does this happen?
Want to answer now or wait?
Let him finish, and then you answer.
Well, that's for that question. And the 111-030524 award contract for firehouse kitchen renovations. That's embarrassing, $95,000. It seems like the fire department didn't have any input when the building was being built. I think you have a new truck there. I mean, are all the height of all the trucks the same, or some higher than the other? So you should at least engineer it to the highest height in the event you buy one, then it doesn't fit, or the width of the door. A kitchen like this, $95,000? You know, I don't think a kitchen at your house is about, what, average 30, 40? Why 95? No one had input into this stuff?
Yes.
You left it to engineers to make decisions for this town? I find that absurd. Thank you.
Mr. Kaufman, and then Mr. Volsi will answer your second question. Please, Mr. Kaufman.
Okay, so the first temporary budget.
Hold on. I'm sorry for interrupting you. But I think what would be helpful is to explain, when it says transfers, what we're doing and why did we come to that point,
Yeah.
so they get to understand exactly why we're here with that.
Yeah,
Okay?
so
Please.
the first budget, temporary budget that we do in January cannot be more than 26.25% more of the prior year budget. So usually that's enough for the first 3 months of the year. We don't introduce the budget and adopt the budget until later than March 30th, so we need to put more money into the budget. So this just doubles the amount of the original temporary budget, plus adds money for the pension payments that are due in April 1st. So that wasn't included in the first temporary budget also, because that would bring it over 26.25%.
And Michael, and it's also, this is the state law that it's 26.25%. And by state law, we have to make the pension payments by a certain date. So that's why we're doing this appropriation. And the state is the one that calls it an emergency appropriation. We don't call it an emergency appropriation because we plan for it. But the state, the designation in the state statute is it's an emergency appropriation, so.
And it's an every year thing that we do.
So technically, we're just following the guidelines put forth by the state for the first quarter of the year. Mr. Volsi, could you talk about that building down there to the left of us?
Yeah, well, the building does have its issues. This particular item in the agenda had total input from the fire department. That's the one thing that we did do. We met with the chief, we met with the guys out there to make sure that this new kitchen meets their requirement. It's built to take the conditions that the guys are gonna put on it. Let's put it that way. It's industrial strength. It has everything that they need to function properly. So it is totally filled with input from the fire department, and that's what we wanted to make sure that they got what they needed. It is what it is, but it's a kitchen that we don't plan on replacing anytime soon. And again, it meets all their requirements and all their guidelines and what they're looking for in order to be able to to function properly in and out of there.
I think probably what you should answer too, while we have you here, is that there's some work that needs to be done on the back of the building too.
Oh, yeah, that's, we're having some issue with the siding. In the fire department, the siding is coming off the building. And that's something we're looking to take care of this year. Again, trying to find out exactly what happened. I don't know if it's a fastener issue. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but there's definitely some problems with that building that needs to be taken care of.
Can I ask you one question?
Sure.
Why would we put siding on the firehouse? Why not brick?
Not my decision. We had an architect, a consultant come in and
No,
design the building.
I'm just asking a question, you know. I got that asked to me, so I just wanted to know how that happened. And instead of just putting the siding back up, why don't we just brick it? And then they can put a ladder up there in case it has problems.
It may be something that we'll look into. It hasn't been designed, it hasn't been touched, but it's something that we have to take a look at this year. So we'll weigh our options and find out what makes the most sense.
Thank you.
Council
Mr. Wilson.
President, if I may, while we
Yes.
have him. Thank you.
Councilman.
I'm in agreement. That is a lot of money for the building to be so young. Were we able to take care of the seepage pit that exists in the kitchen that was bringing back fumes to the guys?
That's part of what's going to be taken care of as part of this also. It's not just the kitchen. There's other work that's going to be tied into this whole building that's under this.
The AC and some
Well,
of the
not-
improper stuff that was put in at first?
Not the AC, but there's issues tied to the kitchen that they're going to be taken care of as part of this. It's not just the kitchen itself. There are other issues that are going to be taken care of as well.
Okay, so we have a total look at that. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Mr. Wilby?
Yeah, Rick Welby, Englewood, New Jersey. Yeah, for that kind of money, is that a kosher kitchen or something? You guys got everything going in there or what? Does it make any sense? This 2023 reserve budget transfer, well, what is that about?
Mr. Kaufman?
Yeah, I want to know what that's about. And then why can't we understand who the assistant city solicitor will be? And who is the public defender going to be? And also this municipal alliance grant for fiscal year 2025. I see these things here, but I don't really understand what's going on. They're just there. There's really no explanation. Also, the bids for landscaping services, is that for the city parks and stuff like that? Is that for the city
Kaufman,
parks?
you wanna
Bob?
answer that one?
Hello?
Bob, you want to answer that one?
Pardon me, they were for city parks, and we're rejecting the bids, and we're going out again. And
Yeah, but I
we're
don't understand
doing
why
it-
we're going out. We got a very efficient DPW, and a lot of these guys could use the overtime, and I think we should utilize our DPW to do what we're subbing out all this unnecessary work to do. I mean, today I was someplace up on the hill, and the police department is not the only department should be getting all this goddamn overtime. You know? I mean, why can't our DPW guys work these parks and do these extra gigs to make the money? I mean, why are we bringing in guys to work these places and do these things, and we always get the worst job possible? We've seen that with the bathrooms over in McKay Park. So we have a DPW. If we got to hire more guys, hire more guys. We got to get more equipment, But let's utilize the DPW that we have that does such a good job to begin with. And let the DPW do what they're supposed to do to continue to beautify the city and to make sure that everything is done accordance that they've been doing all along. So, I mean, I don't appreciate the fact that this stuff is being sent out to bid. You understand, Bob? I think you guys should really look into giving the DPW more work to do instead of less work to do. Let those men that are there that could use the overtime sit down and work something out with them so that they could get paid to do what they've been doing, which is taking care of the city, all right?
Understand.
Mr. Campbell?
Good evening, council.
What is it?
This fire department, that building is 8 years old. 8 years old. and already we're putting in a new kitchen. This is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I think Franz said that this kitchen probably going to be there for a long time. Is it going to be there longer than 8 years? That's the question. Is it going to be there longer than 8 years? I think, Lisa, I think it was you that mentioned to the fire chief about all of the damage and everything else that's with that building. Somebody need to go down there and figure out what's going on with that building, because it's absurd. Now you're spending all of this money for a kitchen, and I understand there are things that are attached to the kitchen, but that's still a lot of money to be putting into a building that's 8 years old. You know, and who's going to bear the burden?
Taxpayer.
People that live in Englewood, the taxpayer. It's ridiculous. We got to do something with that building, because, you know, it's like when you fix something, then something else is going to go wrong, and then something else is going to go wrong. And it's going to be like a well. You're just going to keep sinking money into it, and it's just going to go deeper and deeper. This is ridiculous, Council. This is absolutely ridiculous. We need to do something. I don't care if we have to bring in an engineer to look at the building or whatever we may have to do. We need to do something. And we need to hold some people accountable, because 8 years, 8 years. 8 years, a building of 8 years old is a fairly new building. It's new.
Yeah, great. Mr. Volsi, do we normally do a walk through the building and see what, and kind of do a punch list of everything that needs to be done over, fixed over? Is that possible? We can get something to that? Because there have been a number of issues with that building, and we paid, what did we pay for it?
Believe me,
9.5 million to build it?
I understand the frustration. I'm frustrated myself. Again, we had a consultant oversee the project. They walked through, they did the punch list. So.
No, I'm just saying, maybe it would be a good exercise to go through the whole building from top to bottom and see what else needs to be done, and we get price.
That's something we can do, but I think a lot of it has to be maybe, you know, just testing of, you know, whatever is there already, whether it be the AC unit, the intercom, whatever. There's a lot of things that need to be looked at, that unfortunately the walls are up. You can't see behind the walls, but it may be worth, it's something that we can look into. It may be worth doing.
No, we've already replaced the apron. We've already replaced the doors, you know, so maybe, you know, it would be a good exercise or a thought, you and Mr. Hoffman and others, to just do a walkthrough of the whole facility and say, okay, here's what we got.
I think what may help is, I'll speak to the fire chief. I mean, the guys that use the building will know more or less, you know, what they need and what's going on with that building. So try and get a sense from them.
I would help, and Councilman Wilson, I see you. And speak to some of those rank and file, like Lieutenant Hoyle there. You know, some of the guys who work every day, they can tell you as well. It's no better than getting it from the rank and file. Councilman Wilson, you say?
Yes, all that was stated is correct, but I think if we do a better job vetting the contractors that come into our town, that think that we're easy touch, we can start eliminating some of these problems, and hopefully we don't employ these contractors on a consistent basis, because it's workmanship that we're looking for. It has nothing to do with the amount of time that the building's there. It has to do with the workmanship of the contractors that we hire as a city. So I'd like to see better vetting for our future contractors.
Mr. Volsi?
Mr. Council President,
Yes.
do we have any recourse at all, Mr. Bailey, legally? Is there a statute of limitations? Is there, if they do this walkthrough and they find a work that wasn't meant or minted for time, are there clawbacks on amounts, or do we have any specific performance that a court could order that things have to be replaced, including an entire kitchen?
It'd have to be on a case-by-case basis, certain things if they were known about. more than 6 or 7 years ago, they're likely barred by the statute of limitations. If there's latent defects, however, that could be
Right.
different.
But in the kitchen, for example, there may be some manufacturer issues, there may be the deployment of the equipment or something. I think it would be wise for a report to then be given to your good offices to see if there is a way for this to be clawed back. I think principally, as the Councilman Wilson suggested, it's smart to hunker down in the future, but I'd like to see some teeth in this going backwards also. 8 years, that's it. That's nothing. I redid part of my house, and then all my kids got married and had children, but I knew what I was getting into, and it was going to be for the long haul. 8 years is not satisfactory, and for us to just go forward and make expenditures, I would caution to make this effort, as it's a measure of principle, to go back to the contractors, the people who manufactured it, the people who installed it, and the professionals. Maybe it's a professional mistake that was made, particularly with an apron. What was wrong with an apron, if I may ask? Was it a concrete?
Yeah, it's a question.
he'll tell you.
Why are we doing this?
Should take a seat next to you.
There was a grading issue with the apron. Unfortunately, when the trucks were leaving the station, half of the trucks were in the roadway and half of the trucks were still on the apron. And just that tilted and that twist in the truck itself would actually damage the trucks. So what we did is we lowered the apron and we made it smoother, so it's a smoother transition out in the road, so you don't have that twist and turn into the trucks as they leave the.
Again, these are vendors that know what they have. This isn't Betty Crocker, the kitchen. These are battle-tested gentlemen, for the most part, that are eating and using it in a heavy fashion, and the apron also. These are things that are expected in the wear and tear of a firehouse. I would, again, look at everything from the professionals down to the way it was deployed and see if there's a way to get back into there legally. Thank you.
I'll just give you a quick, one thing is you can't trust these contractors. I never did. Electrician or plumbers. If you dealt with one and you gave them all the instructions on how to do it and all the specs and they did it well, and I checked them all the time. I didn't leave it to them. I didn't trust them to do the right thing. I have to check it. So the onus here is not the contractor or the inspectors that we have here. Before he closed that, the drywall, did he see if it was insulated? Did you check if all the electric wires were tied together or were they hanging loose? That's us. We got to, if you care about what you're doing here, you have to do the inspection. I haven't heard any good news on inspections here, even on the budget. I don't know what they do, but you definitely have to improve it. So
Thank you, Mr.
again,
Diaz.
don't put the onus on the contractor.
Yeah. You want to answer the question about
Yeah, the transfers are a couple of accounts, a few accounts from 2023. We have bills that we have to pay, so we need to transfer money in. Specifically, the big ones were workers' comp, and then the fire department, when we settle the contract this year, we're not sure exactly how much we're going to have to pay back retro, so just in case, we're putting money in that salary line in case it goes over what we have, as a precaution.
And what we should probably do going forward when we talk about the budget, and you know that you're going to make those transfers, maybe we'll have a little segment to talk about transfers that we're making for prior to that. You know, so that way people who attend the budget hearing get a full flavor of the budget process and the guidelines and what you can do and what you should be. We should take the opportunity to inform people as much as we can about what we're doing, you know, so they at least have an idea of what happens, especially like what you said, 26.5% of the previous year's budget. Most people don't know that, but there are guidelines that we follow for that, so this will come into those transfers as well. Thank you. We need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
Can we,
We're still in
close
public
it.
session. We haven't
I'm not
started.
finished.
Okay.
I'm going to close the public session, and then we need a motion and a second to approve.
well, I move that we table.
Councilman, can I interrupt you 1 second?
No. I move that we table Resolution
Hold on,
069.
wait a minute.
I'll second
I
it.
said, can I stop you for a minute?
And I said no.
Well,
I was
listen,
making a motion.
Well, no. You,
Is there an emergency that you're interrupting
Yeah, I'm
me?
listening to the city manager. He's telling me something.
What's the emergency?
Well, he's not got to tell you. He's got to tell me. Last time I looked, I was the council president, not you.
Yeah, well, last time I looked, I was making a motion.
Well, listen, Ken, we're not going to do that here. We're not going to do that here. I said to you, hold on, and you can make your motion.
I was already in the middle of my motion.
Listen. There's rules, there's Robert's rules, and there's order.
Yeah, so the
court.
rule is when
Yeah,
you're making a
but I
motion, you
said to
can't be
I said to
interrupted.
you that I was
Are we
waiting.
gonna
It was
follow
Mr.
Robert's
Kaufman.
rules here?
Mr. Kaufman was making something. He was getting my attention.
I was making a motion, and I got interrupted. And now we have a motion on the table that's been seconded. And there's no discussion for this motion.
Well, it won't pass. What's that?
The community development block grant?
Right.
Yeah. So,
That's
all right,
what happened.
please watch your language.
I don't like when people treat black people like they're niggas.
Okay, I'd like to take a break now. I'm
We're
being
not
yelled
taking a
at.
break. We're not taking a break. Let's call the roll on the motion.
Wait, point of personal privilege. I'm getting yelled at here. I'd like to take a break.
Oh, who's yelling at you? Nobody's yelling at you.
We can't have this kind of.
Okay.
Well,
We need to take a break.
We can't have this behavior, Councilman Rosenzweig, if you think we're going to accomplish anything at this council meeting. We're just not going to have that. That's not what the people expect from us. I think this is ridiculous. That we can't work like we should. Mr. Kaufman tried to get my attention on something, and I said, hold on 1 second. And you wanted to do whatever you wanted to do. That's not the way we should be working. And nor is that going to be the way we're going to work. That's not what we should be doing here.
Council President, I have a
No.
point of personal privilege on the table.
Listen, I'm not finished talking. And I got privilege. Because that's not the way we're going to conduct business here. It's just not the way we're going to conduct business. That's not what the people elected us to do. Now, if it's your intent to try to show me up, you got a problem. It's not going to happen. But if you want to work together, that's what we're going to do. That's all. Nobody was not listening to you. But I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm not going to tolerate that. I'm not going to tolerate that. And it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Listen, we're all here. We're all volunteering our time. And we all want to get stuff done. And nobody's trying to stop you from doing that. He's got something that he wanted to include before we did this. That's important to the city of Englewood. It's about a grant for money for the city. So he tried to get my attention. You know what? I don't know what you think, but I'm not that guy. I'm just going to tell you that. And I'm not going to sit up here, and I'm not going to try to disrespect you, but I'm not going to let you disrespect me. We don't need that. We already have problems in this city. And it doesn't do any of us any good for you and I to be at this like this for no reason at all. For no reason at all. Seriously, there's no reason. There's no reason for that. There's no reason for that. It's not how, this is not what we're gonna do here. And we wonder why the city is what it is today, unfortunately. We can't do this, Ken. We can't have this. Yes. Yes. Either one. And then we're gonna give you what you want. But what he has to say is really important to the people of Englewood. Mr. Hoffman.
All right. Thank you, Council President, and I apologize for the last minute inclusion of this, but at 6 o'clock tonight, our engineer and I spoke with the Community Development Block Grant Director, and they are willing to allow us to pass a resolution for a scope change for a grant that we have so that we can pave 2 additional roads. We have a grant to do ADA curb cut compliance, but we also had a federal grant to do the same thing. So community development is willing to allow us to change the curb cut grant of approximately $159,901 to a paving grant so that we can pave 2 to 3 additional roads. However, it's time sensitive, so the resolution, if the council wishes to do this, would have to be adopted tonight, and the road paving has to be done by the middle of April. So we literally will start work on this tomorrow morning, but this gives the city the opportunity to pave 2 additional roads using grant funding. And I apologize for, for whatever, agita this is causing, but we just wanted to be able to save the grant because the federal grant is doing all of our curb cuts. So.
Yeah, I mean, I will make a comment on that. I appreciate the urgency to add that, but right now we're on resolution for the consent agenda, and we weren't given this information beforehand. So I think in the future, just in terms of process, we would do the resolution for the consent agenda, and then we would add the resolution because it's not in our emails. It shouldn't have been on the consent agenda, and then we wouldn't have had this incident tonight if it was done in a more thoughtful way, I think.
Well, we were asking that it be added to the consent agenda. We only received approval at 6 o'clock tonight from Community Development, so in a perfect world, we would have done it a different way.
But there's no reason it just can't be a separate agenda item that we vote on.
Whatever
Yeah.
the wish of the council, so long as,
Yeah.
if they want to take action on it, it has to be taken tonight.
Okay. Well, I would
Bill, can you give
I would recommend that we take action on that after we finish with the consent agenda.
So
Should I make a motion to do that?
If I may, there's a motion that's been seconded on the table, that should be acted on first.
Okay.
And then, if you want to add that item that was just discussed, it'd have to be a motion by unanimous consent to add it to, as a resolution to the consent agenda or vote on it separately. But there's a motion and a second on the table, that's got to be acted on.
Okay.
Okay.
And they're unrelated. I mean, one's to table 69 and the other is to add an unrelated item.
The motion on the table is what?
The motion is to table resolution number 069. There was a motion and a second.
Roll call.
Councilman Rosenzweig.
Yes to the table.
Councilwoman Wasatski.
Yes.
Councilwoman David. Councilwoman David? Councilwoman David, are you there?
Let's go.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes to the table for discussion.
And Council President Cobb?
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to table Resolution 107.
Second.
Roll call. Let's see, Sheila?
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Councilwoman David? Councilwoman David, are you there? Councilman Wilson?
No.
Council President Cobb?
No.
So it's a tie vote, 2 yes to table, 2 no to
Oh,
table.
Mr. Mayor?
She's on the phone.
She's on the phone, but she's not answering. Want me to?
Call her.
Councilwoman David, are you there? Councilwoman David, can you unmute? Maybe you're muted still?
It's on the Municipal Alliance.
She's here, but she's not. She's up. Councilwoman David, are you muted? Please unmute if you are. Mayor breaks tie.
Wow. Huh? She may have a problem. She's on the line. I don't know why she's not answering her phone. Yeah, I don't know. We can't do that. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
So you need the mayor to break the tie. Mayor? This is for the Municipal Alliance Grant Resolution.
How about that break now? Take a break? All right, I'm going to talk out loud. It'll be my soliloquy. The Municipal Alliance deals with alcoholism and drug abuse. It was established many years ago. In my first term as mayor in 2004, even in my earlier terms as a city councilman here, it was a real source of joy to people like Deborah Jones and a lot of other people who are no longer with us, Ms. Margaret Temple and a few others. The funding that went into this largely went to children and to fathers that had a challenge with alcohol. The issue here is you have two members of the governing body that do not want to fund something that's not set up, and the other two want to move forward, as I see it, correct?
No.
What is the reason?
We're tabling it because of our, I mean, once you.
Why are we tabling something like this?
Well, Yancy can tell you about it because it's our ordinance is not in compliance. And their committee is not in compliance. We've had multiple discussions about this.
I understand that.
We want to do it correctly, and this is doing it incorrectly. They'll get the money.
They'll get it, but they have to.
And we have to have a committee that's in
The
compliance.
deadline for the grant application is March 31st.
Right.
Okay, so I
Okay,
can
so
hear.
do we have a council meeting before March 31st?
19.
The 19th, so.
But this is a requisition resolution where we just.
Council President, point of order.
Hold on, let the mayor finish, then you can come.
That's the point of order.
Okay.
It's a requisition for the funds. You could always set up the municipal alliance and the right criterion and the membership at a later time. I remember this being so important to Wayne Hamer and others as they were leaving office to make sure that the funding would be there, correct?
Well, every year we have the same discussion. We don't get it done, and then it's at the deadline and just pass it. And I'm sick of doing things incorrectly.
I don't blame you.
And we need to do it in the proper setup. We set up the municipal alliance in a specific, with specific laws, and now we're not following them. So we're building on a house of cards here. So let's, we got a month here to get this done. Let's roll up our sleeves and get it done. And that's all we're saying here.
Mr. Cobb?
Good. Mayor?
No, your comment, your thought.
Listen, look, Nancy will tell us, she'll tell you that we don't have any time.
So if the monies come in, if we vote on this tonight, if I break the tie in the favor of funding it, then we can very easily set the mechanism to make sure it's spent judiciously, correct?
Right.
It's deja vu all over again. I mean, this is the same story year after year. Let's just do this emergently, then we'll set it up. And then next thing you know, it's March, and we need to get this done, and we'll set it up next time. And it's 4 years in a row with this, so.
Without putting the squeeze on Mr. Hoffman, what is the reason for the delay in not having the right infrastructure set up? Honestly, please. Sorry, I'm putting the crunch on you.
The council has the opportunity to set the municipal alliance up, set up the terms properly, but this has been a council discussion. There's a grant that's there, but it's just the members of the alliance have to be appointed by the council, and they have to have the proper terms, and the bylaws have to be followed, so.
Okay, so if I okay this, the monies get expended, and today in private session, the council could decide who's going to be on it, and that'll be it, correct?
No. Yeah.
And again, I didn't want to,
You know when I burst the bubble.
I didn't want to interrupt, but Robert's rules, there's no discussion on a motion to table.
That was my point.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but
She's got Councilwoman David on the line.
Well, I'm happy to give my vote and break it and go forward if you like.
She's got her on the line.
It's up to you, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so I just explained to Councilwoman David which resolution was the motion and second to table, and who voted yes and who voted no. Councilwoman David, what is your vote? The vote is to table yes or table no?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. So far we have resolution number 069 tabled.
and if I may, Council President, given
Yes.
the motion to table, do you want to pull that from the consent agenda, or are there any other items on the consent agenda that you want a separate vote on?
Ask the members.
I would like to pull it from the consent agenda for discussion.
069?
Well, 069 is tabled,
Right.
so it's, if someone moves that, there's a second, then there's discussion. But that's a separate vote from the 79, 81, 108 through 114.
Right, so we should just do a roll call on 79, 81, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, and 114, right? You need a motion in a second.
I make a motion on those particular consent agenda items.
I'll second it.
Please read the items.
070,
79, 81,
107.
108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, and 114.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Roll call.
Councilman Rosenzweig,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski,
Yes.
Councilwoman David,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Council President Cobb.
Yes. Next. Now we have 107.
So 107, so you need a motion and second so you can have a discussion.
We need a motion and a second for discussion. 107.
I make a motion.
I'll second it. Discussion.
Okay, so I'll be happy to have a discussion. We had this on the agenda several times last year, and there was a commitment made that that in the beginning of the new year, which was January of 2024, 2 months ago, that two things were going to happen, that Englewood was going to, our ordinance is not up to date with the state ordinance. And that ordinance needs to be done. And I don't know how much longer, do we just not want to do it? Do we not want to be compliant with the state? I mean, what's the process here? In addition to which, the members who are on the municipal alliance are not appropriately appointed or in compliance with either the city or the state's ordinances. So we have a problem here. So we can accept a grant, but who is administering the grant? An alliance that is not legitimate because it's not appointed by the council, because the terms were from 15 years ago, because they don't have the same, they don't have the distribution that the state is requiring. I mean, what's our plan here? So we're going to take a grant money. Who's administering the grant money? I mean, we've had this discussion so many times last year. We even had it in closed session. You know, who's going to take the leadership here and get this done?
Councilman Wilson?
Well, if we're talking about appointments, and since we don't want to point any fingers, Mayor, I understand the hesitancy, the reluctance for those that may not feel that this is proper for us to pass tonight. What I also want to exhibit is that it's a grant. It's not coming from the taxpayers. It's not coming out of our pocket. I think we're fiduciary responsible to have something like this in our arsenal. And if we neglect to move forward on something like this, because we have some glitches all throughout the system, if we want to start pulling down glitches about what's not in place, let's start from the top. Let's not pick out something so important that we have a grant here, staring us in the face in order to benefit our city. So if we're going to pick, let's pick all from top to bottom. Let's not stop, because there's plenty of things on the agenda and on the menu to pick from. Thank you, Council President.
You're welcome. Councilman Rosenzweig?
So on this ordinance, when it says cash match, who's cash, who's matching it? So is that from the city?
Yes.
So $1,438,000. So there is tax money going on here. So it's not that much, $1,400, but it is tax money. And every penny of taxpayer money is important. So we don't want to, we're not talking about a ton of money here. But if our planning board operated like this, or our zoning board operated like this, every single case would be appealed and go to court, and we would lose. So we got money on the table. We're putting skin in the game. We're matching cash. We're spending our taxpayers' money on this. And we don't, and then, a year later, we find out the grant wasn't done correctly. Everyone's like, how could this happen? How did this ever happen? How did we know? Well, because we have a committee with which people who aren't in compliance with being on that committee. And that's how it happens. So this is where it starts, and this is where the problems come. And then a little bit down the road, we all go, oh my goodness, how in the world did this occur? And this is seed one. And if there are other things not working well, let's take them one by one. We're only in March. We got a whole year to get this done. I'm up for it all, but there's no matter too small to do it correctly.
May I speak?
Well, okay, because I'm getting ready to speak.
You speak. I'm gonna speak out.
No. You speak out because I'm going to close the door.
You want me to speak, or do you want to speak?
I gave you the floor.
Okay. This is the state requirements for the Municipal Alliance Committee. For participation in the Alliance Network to prevent alcoholism and drug abuse, the governing body of a municipality must appoint a Municipal Alliance Committee or join with one or more municipalities to form an alliance consortium to which they appoint municipal representatives. Okay, so that's number one. The governing body needs to appoint. Okay, we haven't done an appointment in how long, Yancy?
I think the last person appointed was Councilman Allgrant at the time,
Councilwoman Allgrant was, how many years ago was that?
before my time.
Before your time, okay. The heart of each community's local prevention effort is its grassroots volunteers and representatives that form a broad-based community coalition called the Municipal Alliance Committee. This committee brings together representatives from government agencies, public and non-public schools, healthcare organizations, law enforcement agencies, business and civic groups, parents, youth, and the community at large. The Municipal Alliance Committee is responsible for overseeing the strategic prevention framework process in their community. Membership on a Municipal Alliance Committee must include broad representation from the local community to make and influence change. Membership should include, but is not limited to, 1, mayor and/or members of the governing body. 2, the chief of police or designee and other law enforcement agencies. 3, school district administrative staff and/or a school board member. 4, student assistance coordinator or other student support service staff member. 5, a representative of the Parent-Teacher Association or other homeschool association. 6, parents and/or guardians. 7, a representative from youth servicing organizations. 8, a representative of the Chamber of Commerce or local business. 9, representatives of local civic or volunteer groups. 10, representatives of local faith-based organizations. 11, private citizens with interest or experience in issues concerning alcohol or drug abuse, addiction, or juvenile delinquency. 12, youth representatives. 13, older adult representatives. 14, individuals who have been affected by alcoholism or drug abuse, including individuals who have been directly affected by their own or a family member's abuse or addictions. 15, health and human service agencies professionals, especially healthcare professionals, including pharmacists, physicians, or therapists. 16, representatives of the local communications media or public relations. 17, representatives of public and private organizations involved in the prevention of or treatment of alcoholism and drug abuse and/or the regional coalition. There is no limitation on the number of members who may be appointed to the Municipal Alliance Committee. However, it is required that there is a broad representation from across the community in order to ensure a representative programming, sustainability, and cultural competency. The membership of the Municipal Alliance Committee should represent the cultural composition of the community. An individual cannot be listed on the Municipal Alliance Committee membership form in more than one sector. The committee should include members who have the skills, knowledge, and resources the Alliance needs. A complete list of the Municipal Alliance Committee members with their addresses and email addresses must be provided annually to the County Alliance Coordinator and to the GCADA, I'm not sure what that is, but as part of the strategic planning process. So it must be provided annually. Residency requirements, terms and appointments, election of officers. At a minimum, 50% of the members must reside in the municipality. Members must be appointed for specific terms. Officers may either be appointed by the governing body or elected by the committee, which I'll wait. At a minimum, 50% of the members must reside in the municipality. Members must be appointed for specific terms. Officers may either be appointed by the governing body or elected by the committee, whichever method the municipality chooses. Every alliance must have a chairperson who is different from the alliance coordinator. The chairperson is responsible for running alliance committee meetings and providing leadership through the alliance committee to formulate local policies and procedures. The alliance coordinator is responsible for the administrative duties of the alliance, such as completing required reports. Are we getting reports, Yancy? No? Okay. Required reports and applications for alliance funding, scheduling consultants, and providing support to the Municipal Alliance Committee. The chairperson is a voting member of the committee. The coordinator is not a voting member. The Municipal Alliance, I'm going to skip half the page. The Municipal Alliance Committee functions. The Municipal Alliance Committee is responsible for creating a coalition of community leaders, private citizens, and representatives of public and private education, health and human service agencies who will make a comprehensive and coordinated effort to promote and support community-wide drug and alcohol prevention, education, public awareness, environmental programs, and relating activities. Implementing the strategic prevention framework in order to perform local assessments, build local prevention capacity, plan and implement effective community strategies and programs, and evaluate the Municipal Alliance Committee's effort for outcomes that include: 1, conducting an assessment of their community to determine the needs of the community in regard to drug, alcohol, and prevention issues. 2, identifying existing strategies, programs, services, activities, and resources designed to prevent and reduce alcoholism and drug abuse. 3, identifying a logic model which includes problem statement, root cause, and local conditions to prioritize the needs of the community. 4, implementing documented evidence-based programs, practice-based programs, and environmental strategies at the municipal level which have been demonstrated to be effective, or participating in regionally developed programs that accomplish the purpose of the Municipal Alliance effort. 5, establishing an evaluation process to measure the outcome of programs and practices in order to understand their effectiveness and identify needed changes. Evaluation findings should serve as a key factor at each step of the strategic prevention framework. Assisting programs specifically developed for the prevention of delinquency, school withdrawal, teen pregnancy, and truancy, to acquire alcoholism and drug abuse prevention resources, such as educational and awareness information reduces the risk factor for developing a substance use disorder in these populations, supporting sexual violence, domestic violence, mental health, and suicide prevention programs in the community, in the development and inclusion of education on substance use disorder prevention could also be a priority for the alliances. Assisting the municipality in acquiring funds for municipal alliance programs, including the establishment of a permanent standing subcommittee on fundraising. Support, collaborate, and promote prevention efforts in schools, law enforcement, business and civic groups, and other community organizations, collaborating with local school districts, charter schools, non-public schools, in the review of their K-12 comprehensive programs for alcohol, tobacco, and other drug abuse prevention intervention, referral for evaluation, referral for treatment, and continuity of care, and pursuant to the requirement, they list the state law that it's consistent with, et cetera, et cetera. It goes on to capacity, cultural relativity, capacity, sustainability, and that ends what its responsibilities are. So, you know, why is this alliance is very important. It has a lot, it can really help our city, and we need a functioning municipal alliance. So if my colleagues on the council, you know, this is not a racial issue, and if I'll wait. The Municipal Alliance Committee serves a serious function in this city. So we could, you know, so I don't know how many times I have to come to the council and say our ordinance, and I'm not going to read our ordinance, but you can find it online. Our ordinance is not consistent with the state requirement. We've discussed this as a council. We made a determination at the end of last year that this would be fixed in January of 2024. The committee nobody's been appointed to the committee since, you said Lynn Allgrant, who hasn't been in office, and I don't know, I think in 9 years. So I guess the way that I like to do things, I like to do things the right way. We could do it the right way. We could take this seriously. We can help the residents in the city of Englewood on all these important issues that we talk about all the time. We say our children need, our schools need, our children need. We need to do things right. Or we could just
Sell stolen land in synagogues.
Yep.
Or we could just say, okay, well now it's March. We didn't clean it up. We didn't clean up the organization. We're not in compliance with the state ordinance, but we're going to keep going forward. So what I would do, what my recommendation would be that we say, okay, we table it. We didn't say no. We said, let's table it. Let's get our ordinance in order for the next meeting, which is still in March, which still gives time to accept the grant money, and let's do it the right way. We could do it the right way, or we could just keep doing it. But my vote on this, if we do not table this, is going to be no.
Yancy, how long do we have? But I want to correct something. Yancy said I was appointed after Lynn Allgrant as a council person. Right. But it wasn't as council, but I was appointed by the chairman, Wayne Ames. That's correct. So let's be correct with that. And I don't need a dissertation on that because I'm familiar with that. But what is the timeline to accept that grant?
March 31st is the deadline.
And how long will we have? We wouldn't have enough time, right?
It takes about a month and a half to 2 months to amend an ordinance.
Right. Here's what we're talking about, time frame. So we can't trust the city of Englewood to manage $1,000. Then we're talking about some whole other issue. And if it was so important, you would have read that dissertation three meetings ago.
We did.
You read that? You didn't read that.
I received it from Yancy. Everybody on the council
no, I'm
received
saying
it
you
from
would've read
Yancy.
that. You would've
Everybody
read-
on the
Wait a minute,
council.
wait a minute.
Yancy, when did you send it
We
to the
received
council
it, but
members?
what you read today, what I'm saying is, if you thought it was that, you would have been jumping up and down with that. And you know what? There's a way to read something to people, and there's another way to read it at people. And all I'm saying is, when you say do things right, as Councilman Wilson said, we can get into some things. So if you're going to point fingers, then nothing gets done. But it will get done on this watch. The problem is, if we don't do it tonight and apply for the grant, then we won't get the grant. That's the key here. What you're saying is, don't do this, wait till you do that. And we're not saying we won't put the right infrastructure in. Nobody has said that.
Mr. Cobb?
No, nobody has said that. Let me finish. But you know, I don't know what's going on tonight, and I don't know about all this obstructionists, but we're not going to have that. Sorry. I'm just telling you, because that's not going to get anything done here. But we're going to get some things done. And I think it's important that we understand that if we do this and we amend the ordinance, which everybody knows that an ordinance takes more. You can't just get it done at the next meeting. So let's go with the reality. Mayor Wiles was first, Councilman.
Thank you, Council President. I have a suggestion. And I appreciate that it was read fully, and it talks about cultural competence. And it seems it's a win-win. If you appoint this evening a municipal alliance committee, you then put the funding mechanism in. We don't have to put this off for a month, and we move on to something more important. Although dealing with drug abuse and alcohol is an important privilege, and no matter what the amount is at issue, we should try to bring it in. I would ask, and only because they're males who I know their name in this room, Mr. Walter Young, Deacon Leroy Campbell, Firefighter Hoyle, Mr. Jensen, Mr. Damian Harris, and Mr. Shiki Merritt to volunteer this evening, the 6 gentlemen here, to be part of the Municipal Alliance. If that meets with the panel's approval, you appoint them tonight, you fund this, and then you'll select the chairperson, and you'll go forward on this thing, and that'll be the end of this. If those 6 gentlemen would agree to do it, and if the council would agree to appoint them, they're all people that came out of the goodness of their heart to listen to a council meeting on their free time, much like ourselves, and I think we get on with the show. And I think everybody here is well-intended, whether it's form or substance, but we got to get this done and move forward. So if the 6 gentlemen are there, then just give us a thumbs up. It's up to you if you'd like to be part of it. If we take a 5-minute break and Mr. Cobb is up to doing this and moving it forward, you have a Municipal Alliance Committee, and then you do the money, and that's the end of it.
Good. Let's do it.
Okay.
Oh, Councilman Rosenzweig. He wants to say
You want to
something.
be on it?
Yep.
So,
Yes, it's you.
I'm waiting till we have some order here. Okay. Obviously, we can't get an ordinance passed before the end of the month, because that's a 4 to 6 week process. But we can get an ordinance written in time for the March 19th meeting, and even possibly introduced by the March 19th meeting. And that would be a show that the council is committed to getting something done. Obviously, we can't squeeze 14 days into 10, but we can get the framework done so that we're in compliance. and there's nothing preventing us from doing that before the March 19th meeting. So that would be so I don't need a passed and completed and non-vetoed and, chiseled in stone ordinance to get this through, but we don't even have a good faith commitment that we're going to work on this. It's always, we'll get it done in the future, we'll get it done in the future. Let's get something on paper by March 19th. I'll vote and when I see that, I'll vote in favor of this resolution, and we can show that we're actually moving things forward and getting things done. That would be my advice.
Councilman Wilson?
Thank you, Councilman Rosenzweig, and thank you for correcting me about that we are putting money into this, the match, as far as the taxpayers. So I do stand corrected. Each taxpayer would put approximately 18 cents into this. So I stand corrected. Please forgive me.
So, go ahead, Yancy, then I'll finish. And go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
So I'm just going to jump in a little bit. There is an existing ordinance already in our code. It just requires a little bit of tweaking.
Correct.
Additionally, the grant that's being applied for now is for fiscal year 2025. So the money won't be received until next year's programming. So this gives us time. I don't know if that's a fair compromise for everybody, but we would have enough time to tweak the ordinance because there's already one existing and all those rules were, most of them are already in there. And it's at the I did talk a little bit to the lady from the county. It's pretty much at the discretion of the governing body on how they want to form their municipal alliance committee. We already have 9 existing positions in the ordinance, so you would need, and there's no limit. You can have it be 9, you can have it be 20. You can rearrange the categories. It's all at the governing body's discretion. And I don't know, Bob, if you wanted to jump in to continue that.
So to get something done by the 19th, the question is who would do this? Would this be something that the city solicitor would do, or would this be edited?
We pay him pretty well. I think he would have to get involved in this because it's an ordinance. So Bob would have to, Bill would have to
Yeah,
be
do it in
involved.
conjunction with the clerk and the city manager.
Right. We'll do that. So that makes the commitment. So everybody hears what the commitment is right here by the 19th with them.
So
These 3 people
So I would
will
ask
take
the
care of that.
governing body to look at our existing ordinance. I'll email it all out to you. Let me know what is in there that you like, that you don't like. Look at the state rules that the councilwoman just read. Let us know what it is that you want tweaked. We are on limited time then.
So
And
if
would
we
need
don't
it
hear,
by the third.
no, we're not waiting till the 19th, till the next meeting.
No, the early next week or midweek.
If we don't hear from you by Tuesday of next week,
The 12th.
we'll move on. But we will have something on the 19th in place. And it will be authored by Mr. Bailey. He will be the author of this, along with Yancy and Mr. Hoffman.
Council President, one more quick.
Sure.
I'd like to correct you again, Councilman Wilson. It's less than a nickel per resident.
So let's be clear. So, Mr. Bailey, you got all the moving parts here now?
Yeah, we still have a
Because
portion that's been seconded on the table, though.
Has it been seconded, Mr. Wilson?
There was no table.
What do you want to do? Huh?
There was no table. It was just to pull to discuss.
To discuss, right?
Yes, that was.
And that created all this storm, huh? It's pretty good. Think we're all good with that.
It's called a workshop, I guess.
It's called the workshop, and I guess we're using it. So it's pretty good tonight. Okay, so we have, and I think everybody got something out of it too. This is good. Councilman Rosenzweig said he'll have something. We'll have something for him on the 19th, right? We'll go in, and I think the biggest thing is all the folks that we want to include in, recommending who we want to have in this
Sorry, I apologize. We have a motion and second to approve resolution number 107. And we still need a roll call.
Okay, so hold on, let me, so to approve this,
Councilman Wilson made the motion and you made the second.
I made the second, right, so,
So I had to go on to the next page.
because there's still a deadline for the approval time, right?
Yes.
That's the key. But we're going to make sure we got a commitment for the resolution to be drafted, right?
Part of that would be the appointments. I'll
What?
send you the current list.
They make the appointments? How do we want to handle that? Let's be clear.
It's a council decision. The mayor offered up some people, but I think it's important that my two constituents brought it up to see if they have someone that they
By all-
want
by all
on the
means.
committee.
Well, by all means,
So we're all inclusive.
right,
If
by all
Mr.
means.
Rosenzweig has some people that he would like to commit to this very important membership, or,
I have some people too.
there you go.
Right, so by Tuesday of next week, you send your list, so the list will be in there and everybody will know?
And it has to follow the categories, though.
Right. So we know what the categories are.
Submitting these 6 gentlemen in the back of the napkin that I just wrote, I'm submitting them as my
You may
appointees.
be a little short, because
Okay.
if everybody submits 6, then we'll have the whole town in here.
Well,
So-
I don't want to offend the 6 people that I
No,
asked.
I hear you, I hear you. They're here. Hold on one second, I'll look up in Webster's for you. Hold on. What
No,
happened?
go ahead.
What are you gonna say?
I was going to say additionally, one of those appointments is a member of the governing body, so if anyone's interested on sitting on the Alliance, please also send an email to myself and the council president and Mr. Hoffman, letting us know of your interest, please.
Okay. No. What happened?
To be on the committee.
I think the health department has to play a pivotal role too. They have to be present and
Well,
administer.
we'll get somebody from the health department.
So, I mean, what do you want to do? Do you want to vote? There's a motion on the table to vote in favor of the grant. So we need to move on.
Yeah, and is
I mean, we got
Angela on
a
the
whole
phone?
agenda and a closed session
Yeah.
we got to get to.
Come on.
Councilwoman David,
So
are
you guys got it. Do this unanimously. Let's sync it.
hello? Okay, all right, yeah, okay, she's on.
Okay.
So we're going to vote
Roll
for
call.
resolution number 107.
Roll call.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
So I had said I was going to vote no, but with the commitment
We have
to
a commitment.
introduce the ordinance at the next meeting, I'm going to take that in good faith and vote yes.
You got it. You got it.
Okay, Councilwoman Wasatski?
The same for me. I'll take it in good faith and vote yes.
Councilwoman David?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
I too will take it in good faith that we're going to move forward, so I vote yes.
And Council President Cobb?
I'll shepherd the the ordinance, and yes, sir, we will get that one. This is the workshop, huh? This is what we do. Okay, next.
So I move Resolution 115 for the community block grant, as Mr. Hoffman introduced tonight.
I'll second it.
That's to add it to the agenda first, and then.
I move that we add
Yeah.
Resolution 115 to the agenda for the community block grant.
If
I'll
it's-
second
if-
it.
so- Okay, all in favor? You don't need a roll call on that.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Now I move Resolution 115 for approval of the community block grant.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Sorry. Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Councilwoman David?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Council President Cobb?
Yes. Next, resolutions for discussion, appointment of Recreation Advisory Committee.
Closed.
Who?
Closed.
code. These are all enclosed. Appointment to the Recreation Advisory Committee, appointment of the Traffic Advisory Committee, appointment of Historical Preservation Advisory Committee, approve and reject auto repair and auto collision bids, raising the quote threshold to $6,600 per LFN 2024-04, authorizing duplicate tax sale certificate and refunds due to overpayment of taxes. Ordinance for discussion?
Just, Council President, the last four are not closed session items.
Correct. Okay.
Correct.
So these four, Mr. Bailey? So number 4, is that, who's that, Bob, is that you?
Yes, we're evaluating the bids that came in, and we will have a recommendation for the meeting on the 19th. That's for the auto repair and auto collisions. The next one is raising the quote threshold. It's a little bit, it really should say raising the minimum quote threshold for Russia/Belarusia to $6,600. So the state statute or the state local finance notice says that anybody that's associated with or has an interest in Russia or Belarus, they have to file a form if they're going to do work that's over $1,000 for the municipality, for a municipality in the state of New Jersey. The local finance notice will allow that to be raised from $1,000 to $6,600. So that's what that is. And that equates to the quote threshold that the city currently has.
Okay. Mr. Bailey, authorized duplicate tax sale
Yeah, I
certificate?
believe that was to replace a lost tax sale certificate. And the next item is refund due to overpayment of taxes, which are duplicate payments.
Ordinances for discussion, the amendment of Chapter 307, Article 1, disorderly conduct to include the parking garage.
If I may
Yes,
take
please.
this, Council President?
Yep.
So Yancey had put into the package a version of an amendment to the resolution that the only change to it, the current ordinance would be adding that language pertaining to the parking garage to have increased security, make sure that you're there for the purpose of utilizing the garage, that type of thing. My assistant had sent a red line version just to show you what was eliminated from prior discussions. So if there's a willingness to adopt this with the only change to the existing ordinance to be to add the parking garage, we could put it on for introduction at the next meeting.
So we need everybody to get back to you about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody needs to get back to Bill if you have any changes based on what he sent.
Council President?
Yes, sir.
So this is the SID was here 4 weeks ago and got an ovation. I joke with them, they got an ovation. It was actually because I wasn't here, so everyone was happy about that. But that was at the February 6th meeting. They really, really want this done. And they were borderline despondent when I said it hadn't been passed last year. So let's just, we've been talking about it for a long time, but they want to make sure that the garage is protected and included in this ordinance. Last night we talked about spending $990,000 on the garage over the next 3 years. So let's not have people setting fires in there. We got to give the police some ability to do enforcement in that area, because right now they're hampered by it. So if you don't do it for us, do it for the SID.
Let's make a commitment to getting this thing done for the next meeting, please. All right, Councilman Wilson?
Thank you, Council President. Just in the form of transparency, excuse me, when I initially saw this verbiage for disorderly conduct, it raised a red flag for me. As being the fourth ward council person, I have the privilege of representing my constituents. And my biggest worry was the verbiage that we previously had would overspill into the fourth ward, giving the police more currently suffer from. But with this new verbiage, I am actually okay because it addresses the garage and not the entire city. So I am okay with the new verbiage. Let it be.
Okay, so I think we can.
Put it on for next
We can
meeting?
put it on for next meeting.
Okay, great.
To get that done, and then Councilwoman Rosenzweig could go back and report to the CID, make them happy. All right? Mr. Volsi, could you come and give us an update on, and I think anybody who came to the budget hearing last night, you know, saw you with your nice suit and tie on, that you gave us an update of things that you want. So can you just tell us about some of the projects that are going on right now and some of the activities that the engineering department
Sure.
has going on
We
real
had an
quick?
eventful meeting. Just briefly, Hudson Avenue, the culvert is coming to an end, so that should be completed probably by the end of the month. We
So,
also,
hold on one second. So you're saying it's gonna be open?
yes, we are, yes.
Wow.
We are
Okay.
aiming to get it, I guess everyone can hear me. We're aiming to have it completed by the end of the month, so that's our goal. Hopefully it'll stop raining, but you know, that's the goal right now. We're also currently working on Humphrey Street between Linden and Tibbs, and also we'll be doing Tibbs to William Street. As I mentioned last night, there was a grant that was acquired at the last minute by our city manager, and we do have a deadline to complete that project by April. So we are pushing the contractor to get it completed, get it done. So that also will be done by the end of the month. Currently, we are focused towards drainage and, you know, and infrastructure issues. As I mentioned last night, the roads are a wreck. You know, the utility companies are still in the process of updating or upgrading their infrastructure. They're primarily in the 3rd ward right now, but they're making their way into the 4th ward and part in the 2nd ward. So they are going to go through the city, and we are going to meet with them in a couple weeks just to get a final list from them as to which roadways are 100% completed with the infrastructure improvements, so we can start repaving those roadways. As I mentioned, it's going to be, it's anticipated to be a very heavy, road improvement project this year. We're anticipating between our roads and the roads of the utility companies, we're looking at 40, 45 roads that we're looking to, to hopefully get accomplished this year. So it's going to be busy. There's a lot going on. Sort of giving a broad overview, but we're going to be busy this year. And the residents, hate to say it, I know the utility companies are impacting everyone right now, but when we do the road projects, it's also going to impact the residents also. There's going to be a lot of detours happening while we get the work completed, but hopefully when it's all said and done, we won't see utility companies on our roadways for quite some time. So that's the goal.
Okay. So one of the things that you hear floating out there is that, they're tearing up the roads and that we're going to have to pay for that. That's not true.
No, what the utility companies are, it's twofold. They know that they're tearing up the roads, and they know they're going to be repaving it as part of the project. What we are looking to do is we have our own roadways that are separate from the work that they're doing, that we're paving as well. The only thing that we want to make sure is the roads that we're paving, that they're not going to come after us and repave them. But the work that they're doing in the roads, they're going to be paving themselves. We're going to supervise the work that they do, make sure they're doing it correctly, up to our specs, but we are going to be working with them to make sure that all the roads are paved.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions for Mr. Volsi?
Do you think they'll be out of the 2nd ward by the time the New Jersey DOT closes Jones Road?
That is a good question. I can't answer that right now, to be honest with you. I would tend to say no, but I'll double check. I'll double check and get back to you on that. But it's the utility companies are there for a long time. If they've been in the 3rd ward for the past 3-4 months, so it's going to be some time. There's a lot of infrastructure that they have to do. So depending on how much work they have to do, they may be there while while the Route 4 project is in full mode.
Yeah, Franz, one of the things initially was when we had the meetings with them, their goal was to be finished with the utility work close to Jones Road before the DOT started, so they may still be in the second ward and others, but their goal was to get that infrastructure work done, before the state came in to do the bridge work. And I know that they were running utilities creating underground vaults, and
Yes.
so they should be finished with that before the bridge comes in.
I hope so. I know they ran into some hiccups on the Linden and Jones Road intersection. So, we're staying on top of them and trying to push them. They understand. I'm in their ear all the time about how much of an inconvenience and a nuisance this is, and that we need them out of here as quickly as possible. It's been too long already, and everyone's sort of at their wits' end with the improvements. But it's a necessary evil.
So, I know some folks have asked, so any of I think the drainage issues or from flooding, wherever we could get done this year across the city and various streets and retaining walls and all that, just keep us updated to those things,
Yeah, those are going to be big ticket items. As I mentioned, we have some grants that we have to use that have deadlines that are going to cover a lot of that drainage work and drainage improvements. We are getting outside help. There'll be with consultants. Like I said, Boswell Engineering is going to be helping us. We're getting other consultants in. We mentioned the grants through NJIT. So we're going to have a few people helping us to try and alleviate the issue and help us out. So it's exciting. I think we're gonna come out of this a lot better than we currently are.
And wherever major projects are being done, make sure that council person is aware, because they're gonna get those bombarded with those questions. So just give them a heads up so they know what's going on. So therefore, they can respond to the residents in their ward, which will be important.
But part of what I'm going to try to attempt doing is maybe work with the city manager's office and maybe have stuff posted on the website so everyone knows what's going on. Like I said, it's going to be pretty hectic. If things roll out the way I want them to roll out, it's going to be fast and furious. It's going to be hectic. So we're going to have to notify everybody as to what's going on, and we're going to have to make it as public as possible.
Sure. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Volsi?
So you're going to be the one coordinating between the utility companies and DOT to make sure that people have a path?
Yeah, I'm the victim, unfortunately.
Okay, and I just think the best way to communicate, I mean, it's fine to put on the website, but I think a lot of people get those Nixle alerts.
Yep.
That works pretty well,
Yes.
as long as it comes early enough in the morning, yeah.
Yes, I think that's something that we'll work out with the city manager as to what's the best way to communicate to everyone.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Volsi. Next item for discussion, changing the city colors. I don't know if this is a change, but this is something that many of us who've lived here a long time know about the maroon and white that Englewood has been so graciously represented. So this is up for discussion. As you see in many other municipalities now, the Teaneck, Leonia, Fort Lee, and others, all the schools as well as the municipalities are using the colors in coordination with the towns. So this is something that we've been having some discussion around. And we couldn't find whether it's been, I guess, in concrete in terms of from paper, but we know what it's been for all of us who've been here for a very, very long time. So there's going to be more discussion on that, but maroon and white, I think, is the favor of the day, or so. Mr. Campbell, I see you got your hand. Right, I know. That's right. I know. Right, maroon and white. I know that. Okay, I know. We're not changing it. That's what we had to identify with that, to make sure that it's in concrete somewhere, in stone. Yeah.
Listen, we ain't having it. Bottom line, we ain't having it. Maroon and white, that's it.
Okay, we got it.
If I have to flood this place, that's what I will do.
So Councilman Cobb, can you elaborate on when you change the city colors?
Well, I don't think we're changing it.
No.
I don't know.
Okay, but what, when you, I'm just reading, it says changing the city colors. So can I ask,
I think that's not the right way to say it.
oh, okay, I'm just reading it off the
No, I
discussion.
think it's not the right way to say
But
it.
my question to you is, where are you changing the colors? What do you mean by that?
So I'll give you an example. If you see any communication coming out from the health department, it's in maroon and white, and their memos or their handouts. The library's even gone to maroon and white. The school is maroon and white. So we just need to coordinate. And Mr. Volsi, and I said to him, look at all the signs, like Teaneck. Teaneck's colors are blue and white. The street signs are blue and white. Leonia's colors are maroon and gray. Street signs are maroon and gray. And Fort Lee is the same thing, orange and black. They're all that. So we're just lining up just like everybody else is, so we have colors that relate to the town.
So we're talking.
Excuse me?
So we're talking about changing, I guess, the stationery or communication?
Well, what stationary are you talking?
I don't know, I just, you said when.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a discussion. I mean, so we are here in the workshop. Yeah, I guess we would have some more uniformity to what we do in terms of colors of the town.
Right, so when departments will send out correspondence, it would be maroon and white. The
I would
street
assume so.
the street signs would be maroon and white. And any other changes? Any other places?
I think anywhere, whether it be the website, however we do it. I mean, if you look at DPW, the building is maroon. The firehouse is maroon. I mean, so we've kind of done that. So it's not such a heavy lift, other than just for more consistency and line up with everybody else. But, I think that's what we should do,
Thank you for explaining it.
Mr.
All right,
Cobb?
so, yes, Mr. Mo.
Do we have any history from the Historic Society on this? Because we have a seal right behind you. Do we know when even that seal was created, and why is there no maroon in that?
I don't know what that is, but that eagle with the radar is maroon. Is maroon.
Doesn't look maroon to me.
It's maroon.
Looks brown.
It's maroon. Trust me, it's maroon. That's a maroon. And this is a piece of wood. I mean, I don't want to touch it like that, so.
But have we heard from the Historic Society?
I have not heard from the Historic Society, but we can check in with, I guess, Arnold Brown. He's the historian here. Him and Will Lee, but Arnold Brown has been here his family has been here, so he would probably give some good perspective, and somebody who's grown up here. So, I mean, we got a few things to check, but there you go.
Council President?
Yes.
So I did a little research on this. In the past, there were some blue and white dishes that were in the centennial year. We're now celebrating the 125th anniversary of our city. So there's no harm, whatever the past was, in coming to a consensus what the future should be. And I think it's a laudatory reason, Raiders for Life. I think the kids would appreciate it. And it can always be changed if culture and all these other matters in the future change. To consider, since it is the 125th year, to select other memoriams of the city and other things that may come up in the future. And that's something that I would suggest reaching out to the county and seeing what other cities and communities do, as they do have, we are a city named after trees, and there are other legacy points that we have. We may want to select something that's representative of the city and some of the aims that we're trying to achieve. So my suggestion would be to task the Historical Society with this new mantra that we're trying to bring out the history and do it under that color or whatever it is. But I would task them, since they now have a new home, to take this charge and then to come back to the city council and suggest other things that can be done. And they have the whole year to suggest it in its 125th year. So I would look to do that so that the record can be satisfied, so there's no confusion on other matters too.
Okay. That's it for that. Well, we're going to open up the public session. Okay, at this point, we're going to move to the public session. Your name, address, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Council President Cobb, for putting the colors on the agenda. And I just want to point out, Councilman Rosenzweig asked about the Historical Society. As Council President Cobb said, we want to
Sorry.
align to support our
Interrupt for a little bit. I
We
don't
didn't
think
have
her mic is working.
when that deal was
I don't
created.
think her mic is working.
Amy, I don't think your mic is working.
I'm
I think
gonna-
it's,
I'm gonna
yeah, it's not,
close
it's not working right. There it goes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, Council President Cobb, for putting the colors on the agenda tonight. And I just want to point out, Councilman Rosenzweig brought up the Historical Society. But Council President Cobb indicated that this is to align with our public school district and show that we are in unison, and we didn't have a public school district when that seal was created. So clearly our vision, values, and mission today are not the same that they were 100 years ago. So we need to look at where we want to go while keeping in mind where we've come from. In regards to the work being done on the streets, my street was shut down, I think it was on Tuesday, because the water company was doing some work. I got no Nixle alert, and that's okay because residents were able to get in and out. But I did get, at 10:55 a.m., my doorbell rang. I go to the door. There's a door hanger from the water company telling me that they're cutting my water off at 11 o'clock. I would have appreciated a little more than 5 minutes notice. So I don't know if there's a way to communicate with PSC&G, the water company, or whatever, but when they do things like that, they kind of need to give residents advance notice. I mean, I had my washing machine running. I would not have done that had I known they were going to cut the water off. I had something else, but I forgot what it was. That's it for now. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Yasmin El-Halou, Englewood, New Jersey. I just want to know where the conflict of interest occurred to allow Englewood Police Department to secure a synagogue that was selling stolen properties in Palestine, in Englewood, New Jersey, which is violating international law. And I would hate to see Englewood, New Jersey be complicit in violating international law. I understand it's a very heated concern right now on a global scale, but it's very heartbreaking to see the police department section off the synagogue and allow the illegal sales of stolen properties in Englewood, New Jersey. And I would hate to see the city be complicit in an international crime. And it's disheartening. This is nothing against the individuals of the police department or military. I have loved ones who've served in both the department and military. This is more of systemic failures. I know people are just taking orders from wherever they may be. I understand that everyone's got a job to do, and quite frankly, I think people look great in uniform. So this is definitely nothing personal against the police department or the people who choose to serve their communities. What I want to understand is the complicity in breaking international law, number one. Number two, how did the conflict of interest exist where you used police officers to protect the synagogue that was engaging in activity that sold stolen properties in Palestine? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rick Wilby, Englewood, New Jersey. You know, Ken Rosenzweig talked about how he likes to do things the right way, and Lisa Wasowski talks about this cultural composition. You know, the only thing I hate more than hypocrisy is hypocrites. We spoke today, Mike, and I can't believe that in 2024, people ask, how did the Holocaust happen? People ask, how did slavery happen? Your community is complicit in a Holocaust. This is how it happens. When people are estranged from their humanity, this is what happens. You're not doing things right, Ken. You argue about 18 cents, but I didn't hear you one time talk about the sale only to white Jews at a synagogue here in town by your people, okay, over the dead bodies of Palestinians and the indigenous population of Palestine. People getting pushed out of their homes. Amy's talking about a 5-minute thing that she wants from the water company. Imagine if you were dying of starvation right now in Rafah and in Gaza and in Ramallah and in Palestine. That's your people, Mike. That blood is on your hands. It's on your hands whether you believe it or not. All right? Starving, dying of thirst, children with no medication. Lisa, you're a doctor. Do you give a shit about that? Of course not. I mean, you're a Dr. Death, but you don't care. Ken, you're a doctor too. I could never understand the inhumanity of certain people that claim to be so self-righteous, but you're not. I'm here to tell you that you're not to your faces, and I really don't care. I seen the police department abuse their powers, coordinated with the synagogue and the terrorists over there, and kept people back all around the area, closed down streets illegally to facilitate this madness. What's going on? You're the same people that will go to an auction and buy a buck, okay, or buy some bed winch. This is what you would do. If you would kill people to steal their land, you would definitely buy a slave to clean your houses, Lisa, in Vermont someplace. I don't understand. It is completely sickening what's going on in Teaneck and in Englewood, and it's being facilitated by racist Zionists. And thank God we have good Jews that are standing with us that are saying, not in our name. That blood is not on their hand. But I want to tell y'all something right here, right now. Galatians 6:7 in the Bible tells us that as a man soweth, so shall he reap. Everything that the IOF is doing in Palestine is going to be done back to them. Eventually. That's what's going to happen. There's going to be no safety, no security as you kill people indiscriminately. That is not going to ensure your safety. That is going to have the opposite effect. Palestine from the river to the sea by any means necessary.
Ray Diaz, the issue is paving. I know you're anxious to have.
Ray, could you speak up a little bit, please? Go ahead. It's on.
Okay. I know you're anxious to get this paving completed, but there's something pending I hope we have control over. My block was done 7 months ago. They had the curb cuts and the milling and the paving. And although we have a old cast iron gas main there that has been leaking at least 3 or 4 times where they've come over a period of time, they left it there and that's where it is. But then they came over about a month ago and they did a swing over. They swung over the gas service to connect to the new gas service that they installed, okay? So when I asked them, well, when you're going to do the swing over from the new gas service to the residents, he said, I don't know. It may take over a year. So I don't know if they told you that. That's very important because if we come in the middle and do a paving of curb to curb again, they think they can go right back in there and do half the street, and they think we're going to pay for it. I said, I don't think that works that way. You know, you have to do the whole curb. So I hope we have that under control. And
Mr. Volsi, you know where that's
and-
at? You know where he's at?
Yeah, not only my location, but every location. They're digging up all the streets beyond me, and the same situation is going to happen. I just don't want to waste money paving and stuff like that if we don't need to. There was 2 or 3 other things I saw. It was on the bills. Page 3, Rosario Landscaping Contractor. He says services for railroad tracks. Are they cleaning all the areas, or is that with the CMX? Okay. On page 6, we have street lighting bills, 67,000 and 74,000. The 67,000 was in March of 23. It's over a year. The other one was for December 22nd. Why do we pay bills so late? Is this for metered or unmetered street lighting service?
Except we didn't get the bills on time.
And the last thing is, there's a bill for $10,000 generator and surge protection. No explanation. Was that a maintenance? I mean, how many generators do we have and surge protectors? And are they all being maintained, or this was one? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Ms. Washington.
Beverly Washington. I live on Howell Road, and I wanted to address the flooding that we're experiencing on Howell Road. I live on the lower part of the road near Glenbrook Parkway where they intersect, and now the backyards have become swimming pools and soggy marshes. We don't know what's going on. It never happened like this before, even with hurricanes and extended rain. But it's a real problem now, and we know that the brook runs underneath from up at Miller's Pond, across Tryon Avenue, down across Liberty Road. So maybe there's something going on with that underground brook, and we really need to have it investigated to see what's going on. I've been bailing water for 2 days, and even, when it didn't rain yesterday at all, even when it hasn't rained for a couple of days after a rain, we're still getting water coming up, coming in the basement, coming in the backyard, standing water. So something's going on that wasn't happening before.
What's the address?
Howell Road. I'm on Howell Road, and the person behind me also is a next-door neighbor, and the backyards are like swimming pools now. And just briefly, about the colors, I went to Dwight Morrow. I've lived here all my life. I'm all for maroon and white. But don't change the street signs. Don't spend money on things that are not in need of a change. But look at the post office, the main post office on Engle Street. Has anybody looked at the railings, the rust, and the corruption there?
Yeah.
I mean, how much would a little bit of paint cost? That's embarrassing.
But that's the federal government.
Yeah,
That's
but
their
I
problem.
went in there to see them, Council President. I asked for the postmaster, I left a note. I went in 3 times.
Even a volunteer.
I went in 3 times. I didn't get one phone call back. I didn't get a visit, and the people were mortified that I went in 3 times personally. So I think the only recourse here would be to our congressman. Our former congressman used to take this very seriously and reach out to the postmaster, and there's like a postmaster for the district, for the state also. I think it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is really embarrassing. It makes the city look bad. But please look into this flooding on Howell Road. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Andy Morales. I also live in Howell Road, 284, and having the same situation. There's a lot of water coming up. I don't have a backyard anymore. I do have 3 kids, but we cannot even use the backyard. Even when it rains, every time it rains, it stays. Even when it's not raining, you will still have the backyard full of water. So now it's worse than before, but there could be a little solution that could fix this problem. Maybe the engineering department could pass by and take a look, and maybe it doesn't take that much just to look it up, and it might come out with a not expensive solution might be an easy one to fix.
What's the address?
284.
284?
Yeah, we got a video on that. We got a video on that.
Leroy Campbell, Tenafly Road, Englewood. On bills and claims, this Rosario Landscaping, Mr. Hoffman, I noticed that the bill was $4,600. That was paid by the city, correct?
Correct.
Okay, are we going to be reimbursed by CSX?
No.
Okay, so we went on their property, did some work, but we're not going to be reimbursed.
We weren't supposed to be on there. We took it upon ourselves to fix a problem.
I understand that part. So there's no way we can make them reimburse us.
We can try, but they're not very
I mean, it's not a lot of money, but it's the principle. We had to go onto their property to do some work because they refused to do it, and now we're not even going to get paid anything. The other thing is South Englewood Industrial Park. CSX got about 60 yards of railroad ties. It's been sitting there for years. I don't think I have to tell you the potential that could be. These things are treated. God forbid if a fire gets started in those things, we'll have holy hell in that whole South Industrial area.
There's also 45 railroad ties sitting just north of Forest Avenue crossing that they were supposed to come pick up this summer, and they didn't do that. So
These that I'm talking about at the end of, I forgot the name of the road, but you'll see it.
yeah, we've seen them, but I'm
Right.
just saying that there's
That's
also
a
45.
potential for a disaster to happen. The other thing is Atlantic Towing, tires. I'm sure we could have got a better quote for these tires. I know we do business with the body shop in Fairview, right next to Fairview Tire. So, I mean, and I know for a fact that Fairview Tires do truck tires. And our trucks got to go into Waste Management, which is right across the street from Fairview Tire. So, I mean, these are a lot of things that could be accomplished when these guys are on the road, if they got tire issue. So I think that's something that we need to look into, see if we can get a better quote. And I think somebody talked about paying the guys overtime. If we got to pay them overtime, we'll pay them overtime. That'll give them some incentive. The other thing I have is I come to these meetings all the time. And what I'm seeing is totally disgusting. It's totally disgusting. And I want the people here to know that, and I want the people that are listening to know that. It's disgusting, totally disgusting. Body language, disgusting. We got to come together. If we're after the same goal, we have to come together and work together. I see things like on behalf of Lisa and Ken. I don't see things on behalf of Lisa, Ken, Wilson, or Angela. It's just Lisa and Ken. The council is not made up of 2 people. The council is made up of 4 people from 4 different wards and a council at large. This is ridiculous. There was a meeting on Sunday. I'm not even sure if Angela Davis knew about this meeting, but it was in her ward. When I look at the Zoom, I don't see her on the Zoom. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's too much division. It's too much division being driven here. And we need to fix this. We need to fix this. In order to move forward, we need to fix this. Tonight was just plain outrageous. Outrageous. We need to fix this. In order to move forward, in order to strive for the same goal, we need to fix these things.
Thank you. If there is nobody else for the public session, we're going to close it, and we're going to go into closed session. Mr. Bailey.
Yes, sir. Resolved by the governing body of the city of Englewood that 7 of the Open Public Meetings Act, be it further resolved that the discussion conducted in closed session may be disclosed to the public and constitute final action thereon, but it does not violate attorney-client privilege or constitute invasion of privacy. Be it further resolved that although it's not the council will return to open session after this meeting to take any action, the council reserves the right to do so on closed session.
Mr. Bailey, we only had contract negotiations.
Contract negotiations, my apologies.
We need a motion and a second.
I make the motion that we go into closed session.
I second it. All in favor? Aye. We're in closed session now.